Yes. Okay, let's move to the public comment session on agenda items. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on agenda items only at this time, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Your name, please.
Good evening. I'm Captain Earl Graves from the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, Superior Officers Association, Fraternal Order Police Lodge 205. I would just like to thank the Freeholding Board for taking our contract agreement under consideration at such short notice. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you again for your comments. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak on agenda items only at this time? Please state your name and affiliation for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Cassandra Dock, P.O. Box 25331, North. Resolution 1 and Resolution 4. Just want to get an idea, what's the agreement? It says a memorandum of agreement. I'd like to know, what's the agreement? What are you guys agreeing to? Resolution 27. Who is the ombudsman now? What services will this person be providing that costs almost $6 million? And the senior program. I see, why is the senior program in Weequahic Park being delayed? If somebody is here tonight from the senior program, maybe they can speak on that and let me know. Okay?
Okay, thank you. And as always, if you stay in the meeting, you'll hear, because we're voting and discussing each one of these items, so you will be able to hear some of the questions that you asked through the discussion of the board.
Okay, so at that meeting,
at this meeting tonight.
Right, at this meeting, is that an opportunity for us to engage? Or
Not while the discussion is going on with the board, but at the end of the meeting, we'll open the floor up for questions or comments after the agenda. Okay, do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak?
Good evening, Donna Jackson, North resident. Resolution 6. I'm here this evening with the dental school and am very concerned to know who's getting additional funds from this $146,000. We have had some very serious issues with our training programs, their placement rates, etc. I want to make sure that it's justified. I know the young lady from the dental school is having a tremendous time collecting funds. Clients are being sanctioned improperly, although their workplace and their work timesheets are in order. I just want to make sure that this process is fair. I'm going to ask for a very serious consideration when you guys get to item number 6, because we've been discussing the contracts for service with this county with employment and training for some years now, and no changes have been made, and people are not going to work at the rate folks are claiming. If you're doing a CNA training at a facility, if you're going for diploma, etc., working at McDonald's is not a job placement for someone who is doing something in a specific field, and I think we need to monitor better who we're giving our money to. And also, Resolution 11. Going to ask that you hold it, because there are a number of children who are coming through our juvenile justice system, which I believe is headed by Mr. Fisher, if I'm not mistaken. We had another young man killed on Monday in North. Weequahic High School student 15. The Essex County Prosecutor's Office has arrested the perpetrator in that. However, the 15-year-old that murdered the 3 young people on Christmas Day needs some intervention from this county, and he's not getting it. The people who are coming through the juvenile court, when I see services for child and early intervention, the county of Essex is not doing that. I'm asking this freeholder board, there is no discussion. I'm asking you to hold Resolution 11. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm standing here in strong opposition to us taking any more dollars for intervention with our children, and we are not giving the services. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you stayed throughout the meeting, you will hear what those items are, and the answers probably would be answered. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Anyone else from the audience who would like to speak? No. No. You have the opportunity to make it at the end of the meeting. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak at this time? If not, Madam Clerk, we'll continue with the agenda. Do we have anyone who would like to speak on, at this time, on any issue? You may come to the microphone and speak on any issue at this time.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Bryant. I'm the Director of Quality Dental School Technology, and I have several issues concerning dealing with the 50 South Clinton. And I don't know if this is the proper time to speak about it, but there's several issues in concern. As a citizen and also a registered voter and also a high school graduate from the city of Newark, I feel as though that the school should have some better type of treatment concerning placing people on jobs and dealing with the fact that a lot of the e-time that we put in, all that stuff is erased the next day. As people are being sanctioned, bus tickets are not given to people. A lot of things is going on in just about every department up at 50 South Clinton.
Okay, very good. As you know, we don't respond while you're at the mic, but your questions that you raised we will respond to you in writing. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to speak on any issue? Please come to the microphone.
Once again, Cassandra Dock, P.O. Box 25331, Newark. I wish we had waited a little later to congratulate the Consumer Bowl from Irvington. I wish everybody would have had an opportunity to see them. I don't think all of you were here, Ms. Watson. I saw you coming in as they were going out, so you didn't get an opportunity to congratulate them, but they did such a wonderful job, and they competed against some other towns that we probably thought they would never win against, but they did. Also, just want to piggyback off what Ms. Jackson said, and the owner of Quality Dental School as well. We have to really, and we've been coming here, as Donna said, for probably some years now, talking about the services in terms of the vendors, particularly Quality Dental School. It seems like it's personal. Why with her, and she's been here several times, why when it comes to her school, do we have to withhold her money? I think you need to have a conversation with Mr. Mumford to ask him, do he have something personally against her? That he don't even want to send her students. He limits the amount of students that go to her school. He don't even want to promote her school. I think it's a shame because, like she said, she's from this community. And then I'm going to add that she's a black woman with a school, just as qualified, probably more qualified than what, I'm going to say she is more qualified than what that Drake is doing. But yet we'll send students to Drake. We'll let them accumulate all these, loans. We don't monitor that. We do nothing with that. But yet we won't even help this woman who has a quality school. And we have a lot of, because that county is good for telling somebody to go get the CNA. They don't want nobody in this community to do nothing other than become a CNA, going to the hospital, which is nothing wrong with that. But why do Ms. Steinbeck's office continue, and I believe it's her office, continue to promote that? We got to do better. I know, Bilal, you're not interested, but you got to do better. Better. And then let me talk about the county. Now, I don't know why Essex County did not participate in that conference over in Jersey City, the reentry conference that was held by former Governor McGreevey, the current governor, and a host of other people. State parole was there, prosecutors was there, the federal level was there. The federal level was there. A lot of things were talked about in terms of reentries, this whole ex-offender population. Why did Essex participate?
Okay,
I don't understand.
Excuse me, Ms.
I got 25 seconds. I'm looking at watching.
Wait, let me say
I'm
what
sorry,
I'm
Ms.
saying.
Watson.
I'm saying I'm giving you a chance to sum up because you have the seconds to sum up.
Yeah, I'm watching it. You
Okay.
just took away
Everybody
25
don't
seconds.
watch it.
I am.
So that's
I'm
my
used
job
to
to
this. I've
keep
been
you
here. So
continue.
let me talk about that county. Hudson County, I got like 3 more seconds, Ms. Watson. Hudson County has a division within their county jail that helps those inmates while they're in there. I think you need to take a look at that That we don't even allow our inmates to read. They have no books. They have nothing. Get down to that jail, freeholders. Get down there and start trying to help them. Stop talking about you want to help them, because you really don't. Because you will look at what Hudson County is doing and you will duplicate it.
Okay, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
And you will receive, your questions will be answered as always when you come before the mic.
Yes.
Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak on any issue at this time?
Freeholders, I would like to just correct my previous asking you to hold the money. I've just been told by the staff here that that program is for 0 to 3-year-old. And intervention is seriously needed, so I withdraw my plea in asking you to hold off on that money, because I did think it was for older children. Let me also throw in Resolution 26 while I'm standing here, where you're paving at. The streets in Essex County from 2 years ago, when we talked about paving Nye Avenue, Clinton Avenue, Tremont Avenue for the very first time, that never happened. And those dollars were already allocated. I'm getting ready to submit my bills to the county for how many tire rides, wheel alignments I've had to do, because I travel Tremont Avenue and Clinton Avenue and Nye Avenue quite frequently, and those roads are atrocious, particularly when you get to the Irvington borderline. I think that the county, and I'm going to say it, has something against Irvington. It's like you pave north all the way up to Irvington Center. The truck stops for some reason, goes up to the high school and begins again at Stuyvesant and gets that little bit of Irvington all the way up around up into Maplewood. The paving on Nye Avenue happens the exact same way. You do Newark up into Slicks Club, you stop at Slicks Club, matter of fact, before the railroad track, they go all the way down Nye Avenue, they go past the center, and then they start paving again. I don't understand. If there's a beef, I don't have nothing to do with that. These roads need to be paved properly. Irvington County roads in particular are horrible. I know we had a hard winter, don't want to hear the excuses. Another $2 million, but we never did the first $2 million worth of paving. Because I've been watching since I stood at this freeholder meeting and you told me that those streets were going to be paved. It never ever happened. People are blogging and Facebooking the county exec. He's saying it's been done. It has not. We have produced pictures. Lastly, I want to stand this evening again, as I reiterated, but I went to the dental school. And this woman has a radiology program. She has the dental school. She also has a CNA program. If this county board does not know that Drake is not certified, then you better do your homework. Drake does not have a certified program. When you send a client there, they charge the client $5,000. They then make the client go get an additional $15,000 in student loans. Because Drake is the only school in the country that gives students a check. They give them $375 every 2 weeks. But what the clients don't know is they're paying them. Yes, ma'am.
You need to sum up, and
yes,
then
ma'am.
you have
They're paying them with their own student loan money. Now we need to really get it together. This is a black thing in terms of this dental school not being paid. You did the disparity report. You guys have done nothing, and this needs to be corrected. These other vendors do not have problems getting paid. Now, I know that in closing, this young lady has her timesheets with her. She has her placement records with her for the last 7 years, from 2009 to current. And this county needs to make it right with her. It is not fair, in my closing statement, that this woman has had to let go all of her instructional staff, doctors certified to give the dental program, because the county's not paying. You need to get this woman her money.
Okay,
you need to go to that school.
your time is up. And again, thank you for your comments. As usual, we will respond to all of your comments. We're closing. We have someone else from the public? Very good. You will receive a response. And if you stay at the meeting, some of your questions may be answered during the discussion of the board with the administration. Your name and affiliation for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Derek Ford. I'm also a resident of Newark, New Jersey, born and grew up here. My mom is Dr. Joyce Bryant, and also the CEO of Quality Dental School of Technology. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to speak about the payment arrangement, which is something that has been a big deal for the school. Recently, Quality Dental have submitted an RFP, and the main question that we have at hand is how can the school be equally evaluated based off of the problems we have with the e-time, the lack of communication and professionalism from the officials, and also our job placement, which has not been credited, and these students are working on jobs till this day. So on a personal note, I actually lost a semester of school based off of the delay in payment, which is a pretty big deal because Quality Dental is a viable school who provides high quality education to people, place people on jobs, and they are still working. Being that they're certified, these students can go anywhere in the country and work. That's why I don't understand the issue. And basically, it kind of hinders students from reaching their full potential, or anyone who just wants to improve the quality of their life because of a simple delay in payment. So thank you guys for listening to me. Thank you for your time.
And thank you again for your comments. At the end of the meeting, the board goes into response for any questions, any comments from the audience at the end of the meeting, and also we will respond to each individual that appeared before the board this evening in writing. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak at this time? Okay, Madam Clerk, let's continue with the agenda. Are there any topics of discussion? Okay, we will take resolutions 1 through 5. They're all memorandum of agreements between the County of Essex and Essex County Correction Officers. We'll read it into the record at a later time. And Ralph, we'll start with Resolution 1. You'll start explaining Resolution 1 and go to Resolution 5. That would be inclusive of all of the contracts between the unions and the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution 1 is the agreement between the County of Essex and the International Brotherhood Electrical Workers, formerly known as Local 1158. This agreement is for 2014 through December 31st, 2017. Ms. Dolores Capitola will highlight the special features of these agreements, but all in all, they're all pretty much the same pattern in terms of settlements with our collective bargaining units, whether it be the PBAs or other members of either the CWA or IBW. It's 2% for each year, basically. In resolution number 2, it's agreement between the county as well and the County Sheriff Officers Association, PBA, Local 183. Again, it's a 4-year agreement, 2% for each of the years. Resolution number 3, the agreement with the county and the county prosecutor's office. This is for the prosecutors and investigators, PBA Local 325. Again, the same 4-year contract, same 2-year increase every year. Resolution number 4, agreement between the County of Essex and the Essex County Correctional Officers Association, PBA Local 382. Again, 4-year agreement, 2% each year. Resolution number 5, County Council Memorandum of Agreement between the County of Essex as well as the County Prosecutor Superior Officers, FOP Lodge 205, 4-year agreement, 2% each year. If I can call Ms. Capitola up to highlight any of the other portions of the agreements.
Okay. Ms. Capitola, your name for the record and your affiliation.
Dolores Capitola, Office of the County Council. We have 5 agreements tonight. The first one is with the civilian group, the IBW. The difference is their wages start June 1st as opposed to January 1st for the police groups. In terms of unique features, what we've done, and I'll just highlight them, the earned time. We haven't given them additional time, but we're now allowing employees to take off half days, quarter days, 3/4 days, and that makes it easier to schedule. For example, if somebody has a doctor's appointment, it makes the flow of the work a lot easier for management. We've modified some of the performance evaluation forms to make it, again, a little easier to manage. This is for the merit pay program. For the second agreement, that's PBA 183, we've put language in that new employees are not eligible to enroll in traditional coverage, which will save the county money. That's the most expensive plan. Number 3, the investigators, again, they're not eligible for traditional coverage for new employees. Again, that's a cost-saving measure. And we've set up a procedure for scheduling vacation time. It's not an increase in vacation, but simply a way to make it easier to administer so employees can get what they want and we can still cover the office needs. Contract number 4 is with PBA 382. Again, they're not eligible, new employees are not eligible for traditional coverage, again, a cost-saving measure. And we've done a few changes with their language provisions. Currently, employees at the jail, which is a huge facility, are allowed to take 2 15-minute breaks and a half-hour lunch, and that really isn't enough time to sort of walk and have a lunch or even to have a break. So we've combined the 2 breaks and the half-hour lunch, and there's 1 break now, a 1-hour lunch period, and that works better for scheduling, and it also allows the employees to have a little bit of time to relax during the workday. Item number 5 is with the prosecutors' SOA. Again, new employees are not eligible for traditional coverage, and we've also established a more easier to run procedure for scheduling vacation time.
Very good. We'll ask Mr. Polavecchio first, and then I'll go to Mr. McInerney.
Thank you, Ms. Capitola. When we talked about this last week, I think the start date for 11/58 was different than some of the other...
Yes, it's June 1st.
Okay, and the other dates are January 1?
Yes, and those are because those are police contracts, and the civilian contracts are...
And is there any significance in the difference between the June start date and the January start date in terms of fiscal impact or any other impact?
Oh, sure. It saves 5 months of retro.
Right.
So that's a budget concern.
Perfect, thank you.
That's it?
That was it.
Okay. Mr. McInerney?
Yes, one of the statements you made was that there was a change in a form that would be used for merit pay, and which of these contracts or what employees that are party to these contracts that are getting 2% are you saying there's also a possibility that somebody could get a merit increase as well?
What I'm saying is that there's an increment program that's based on merit in the civilian contracts, again, unlike the police contract. So that's in reference to contract number 1.
Right.
And there are procedures in addition to the employer meeting with the employee on a yearly basis and putting criteria
Right.
that they're to meet. There are also what we call preliminary requirements, and that deals with how many times you can be absent or late. And if you're out too many times, you won't even get to step 2 to get an increment. So
Okay, so on the uniform contracts where there's typically steps involved that both the officer at the officer level as well as the first step on up, if there are issues that can prevent somebody from making that jump from first step to second step or second step and third or beyond.
that's a little, again, because they're police groups, it's a little more difficult. So
Right.
there isn't what we would call an evaluation. They might be evaluated anyway, but in terms of the merit, they're allowed to be denied an increment once, and it's a pretty strict criteria to do that.
Okay.
So there is a difference between the non-police and the police merit.
Okay.
Or step increments, whatever you want to call them.
Okay, so step increments are step increments. They're contractual. They're not, I wouldn't call them merit then. Is that correct?
Well, it's whether they're based on merit. So when you have IBW, you have the steps, but there's a more difficult hurdle to get over to get paid.
Okay, but the increment in the civilian contract is contractual, correct?
In both
Subject
cases,
to,
in both cases, it's contractual.
right, okay,
In all
but,
cases.
okay, but are you saying in a civilian contract, or in a uniform contract, it's more difficult to inhibit an increase, like in steps, if we can call it that, than it would be in a civilian contract?
It is, because up to this point, contracts have gone to interest arbitration,
Right.
and there basically are more protections.
Okay,
to
okay,
the
fair
police.
enough,
So
okay.
that's the,
But when you say merit, because we've ran across this with the prosecutor's office, and they have a little more flexibility with their APs, so we're not talking about arbitrary merit. We're talking about a contractual obligation however, subject to review.
Certain requirements.
Right,
Correct.
okay, but it is contractual, it's in the
Yes.
contract. Nobody says, I'm going to give you 5,000 rather than
No,
the
no,
income.
no,
Right,
no, it's
okay,
all set in the
I just wanted to make that clear for, for the record, because merit pay has different meanings with different employment groups. Okay, that said, I think, the other side of this is that there has been no interest arbitration to get to this point, and for the next 4 years, at least until this contract starts to get negotiated again at these different union levels, we can look forward to not seeing arbitration for the next 3 years at least, which historically has cost the county a significant amount of legal fees. So these increases are within the cap. They are, as I would think, good increases. There's nothing else that we're giving up. I guess we would have to assume that the inability to get into the traditional insurance plan is because the traditional insurance plan is it's significantly costly for the county, and I'm assuming that's the reason why it is now excluded from new hires.
That's correct.
Because of the cost. Other than that, there's really very little other elements of the terms of the contracts that have been changed, and it's just a 2% increase, basically.
Okay, we'll start questioning from the Freeholder Vice President
Thank you.
Sebo.
Ms. Capitola, you indicated that there's going to be a change in the break. There won't be the small individual breaks, there will be a 1-hour break. Does that pertain to all 5?
Correction.
No, because everybody has different lunch periods. The problem at the jail is the size of the facility. So if you work here, you could go down to the cafeteria and get a cup of coffee and be back in 15 minutes. There at the jail, you have to walk maybe 10 minutes to get to a cafeteria. So it just doesn't work because you have to arrange coverage for 15 minutes, and you can't do it.
I understand that, but there are 5 items that we are approving. Does that apply only to some of them?
Only to the jail. That's the only place where it's been an issue.
Okay.
That was a management request that we combine it.
So that is number...
And it's not,
4.
that language is not in any of the other contracts before you.
Is that for number 4, item number 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Through you, Madam President, in resolution number 4 dealing with the corrections officers, I mean, I remember back in March of this year, I think we all got countless number of emails regarding the 2% increase, and the concern was about a freeze. And then on the 18th of March, I called the county exec, who actually took my phone call. I love Ralph, but he decided to speak himself, and he said that he had them all, he had all the unions at the table, and they were discussing that. So I'm glad that, sometimes there's not a common ground between administrations and unions, but I was glad that this time we managed to get everybody at the table and come to some sort of agreeable solution. Now, I understand that from 2014 to 2017, which is the contract period for the corrections officers, 2% increase.
Yes.
There's going to be an increase total of $7.5 million because of that. Now, how are we covering for that? Are we expanding their budget, or are we cutting back on something?
Through you, Madam President, we've already met with all division directors as well as constitutionals, as we have instructed everyone that the 2% increase, that their budgets will be hit next year, that they're required to come in flat and find ways within their department to absorb that 2% increase.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Freeholder Owens.
Ms. Coca-Cola, I wanted to make sure I had your name correct.
Capitola.
Capitola, okay. If I understood you correctly, you said that there was 5 months retroactive pay, or how'd that go?
With the non-police groups, and before you, number 1 is a non-police group, there's, rather than January 1st, the 2% becomes effective June 1st. So there's a 5-month lag the first year, but it goes into base. So effective the second year, it's gets rolled into the base. So it saves the county 5 months of retro payments, but it doesn't affect the base.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have any additional questions, comments while we have Ms. Capitola at the mic? No additional questions or comments. Thank you, Ms. Capitola.
Thank you.
This is a conference board meeting this evening. I would like the audience to understand that we will be voting on every item that's coming before the board this evening. Madam Clerk, we will take resolutions 1 through 5. Do I have a motion and a second to take 1 through 5 together? It's moved by Freeholder Vice President Seabold and second by Freeholder Owens. No further discussion. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, we will discuss, you can read 6 and 7 into the record, and Ralph, you will explain 6 and 7 before I ask for comments from the board.
Resolution number 4, Economic Development Training and Employment, Division of Training and Employment, contract amendments with 5 sub-recipients for additional welfare to work services, August 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014. Additional amount not to exceed $146,500 grant funding. Resolution number 7, Department of Health and Rehabilitation, Division of Community Health Services, approval of contract extension for the 2013 State of New Jersey Governor's Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse Municipal Alliance Grant, extension period January 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2014. Additional amount not to exceed $381,645 grant funding.
Very good. Mr. Scialla?
Yes, Madam President. Basically, what we're doing here, there's $146,000 of revenue that is going to be redistributed. It has to be a body and seat rule by June 30th. The participants continue on in the program till later part of this year. However, the groups that will be receiving additional funding will be Aspira for job search. They will receive an additional $14,400. La Casa for TANF ABE, it's an additional 10 slots for $17,600. The National Career Institute for TANF Clinical Medical Office Skills, $23,850. Program for Parents, an additional 30 slots for $71,550. The Urban League, an additional 40 slots for $19,200. Which makes up the $146,600 of funds. Resolution 7, there's basically 19 municipalities that are participating in the consortium. There are 2 towns that joined up as one, Caldwell and West Caldwell. As you know, this is the Alcohol Drug Abuse Municipal Alliance Program. In your packet, you will have a copy of 2 letters, one from Newark, and this year, Essex Fells, who opted to no longer participate in the program. I know this board has had many questions in years past about Newark not participating, so we included a letter from Newark stating why they declined.
Very good. For the record, Madam Clerk, Freeholder Clark is in attendance. Let's start discussion on 6. Mr. McInerney, question, comments? Mr. Polyvecchio?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, board members, let's go to Resolution 6. Rav, could you explain, this dollar amount is in addition to what we have for all of our welfare to work services, or is this just an additional dollar amount?
These are dollars that are additional for welfare to work services. However, they're also tied back to specific areas. As you notice, 2 of them are in the job search area. There's another area for ABE or GED, basically education. So those funds are pretty much restricted to the programs that they can be funded for.
Okay. Just a quick question. I just want to follow up. And I think we've had sessions on this before when we have clients come in and we are sending them to different agencies. I think it was my understanding, I need you to clarify that for the record, because we have individuals that's questioning, how do the agencies receive the clients?
Madam President, there are two possible ways that a service provider could receive clients. A lot of our contracts are what we call classroom contracts, job search, GED. There are some vocational skills programs that we refer the TANF clients directly to the vendor. Majority of the contracts that I think one of the speakers spoke of, Drake, that particular program is a self-direct program. For example, a client would come to us and say they are interested in a truck driving school. Well, the counselor says, well, here's a list of state-approved vendors. Select the one that you're interested in going to. So it's a self-select process that the client selects whether they want to go to ABC truck driving school or BDF truck driving school. We do not contract with the school. We basically contract as an individual referral contract for that student, and it's capped at, I think, about $4,000, thereabouts. So we do not directly contract unless that school is certified by the state of New Jersey and it's a client who wishes to attend that school. So those are the two areas that our clients end up at various locations.
Okay, and I'm asking these questions for clarification. If I'm a client and I come in and I don't know where I want to go, who assists that client in making the selection of what may be in their best interest? Or would we have individuals from each agency to come talk with those clients, or do we have a session for clients who don't know what they would want to do or what training they wanted to receive?
Well, as you know, the amount of training dollars that we have, that there is discretion. And what I mean by discretion is establishing a classroom size class and recruiting and sending that classroom size to a vendor is limited. Majority of the state funds have been minimized for vocational training. The majority of those dollars where we direct clients to agencies are very limited. Majority of those funds are spent on quick fixes by the state and the federal government, known as job search, GED, ESL. So there's very limited opportunities. We do have at 50 South Clinton laboratories, we do have computers, we have research materials where the client can go online, research a school, find out if that school is a fit for them, and then they will then make that selection or that decision. So when you talk about vocational schools, the majority of the vocational training dollars that this county spends are on individual referrals, and those are all self-select by the candidate or by the customer. I hope that answers your question.
Right. Freeholder Bobadilla.
First off, I just want to say that, looking at this resolution, I was glad to see the diverse and broad spectrum of the providers, because I think they represent a lot of services that we need. And one of the things that I really was glad to see was that almost a third of the funds went for programs for parents, because as you know, childcare, especially in an urban environment, is a significant barrier at times into welfare clients getting out there and doing what they need to do and finding employment. So I just want to say that, I'm glad that these additional funds, more than almost a third of them were dedicated towards that cause.
I should point out, Madam President, that the program for parents are actually receiving for 3 different program areas. So those 30 additional slots are broken out for a teacher assistant program, hospitality hotel program, and a computer office program. So they're receiving a bulk of the funding of $71,000, but they're in 3 distinct program areas.
Okay, additional questions, comments, freeholders? Freeholder Clark?
Do we know, well, do we have an idea of what the original amounts were?
Sure.
The 6 programs that are receiving extra? And the other question, even more so importantly than the original amounts, Ralph, were there any other programs vying for these additional dollars, or this is just basically the way the split went because these are the only ones that were really vying for the additional dollars?
2 parts to your question. One, yes, in your package, you do have a matrix that shows the original contract amount that each vendor received, the original slot level, the amended slot level, the new slot level, as well as the new total. How these agencies were selected, that's a very good discussion point for our Workforce Committee meeting coming up 24th. But I'm sure there was a criteria, a selection process.
It was what?
I'm sure there was a selection process for areas of funding because, as you know, many of the agencies do not offer job search. Some of the agencies offer ESL, they don't offer GED. So it's a fit of who has a space, who has availability, and who provides that service would go into that decision-making process.
Okay, and just as an aside, before we leave tonight, there's a particular issue that I wanted to...
We did talk about that at the public comment section.
Oh, it was discussed already?
Yeah, it was brought up in the public comment session. We, as usual, we never respond back to the person at the mic, but we agreed that we will send an explanation response like we always do in writing.
What I'm actually asking is like a sidebar at the conclusion, because I think that will get to the crux of the matter very quickly.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Do we have any other comments or questions at this time? And we on Resolution 6. Resolution 7. And Ralph, thank you for putting the letters in the package, because we, as always, we always have concerns about Newark by not taking advantage of funding that
I believe the letters are in your packet, Madam President.
I think so.
From Newark and Essex Fells.
Essex Fells and Newark.
Newark, yes.
And only 2 municipalities decided they did not want to take a part of receiving grant fundings from the county.
That is correct.
For services for alcohol and drug abuse.
That is correct.
So the city of Newark, I want to make that clear because I don't want nobody to say we avoided the city of Newark. The city of Newark opted out themselves. Am I correct?
That is correct, Madam President. And the letter is in your packet.
The letter is in the packet. Freeholder Bobadilla.
No, I think I make a comment on this resolution every time it comes before the board, because, I'm always disappointed in the fact that in a city with the largest population and dealing with some of the urban complexities that we have, Newark doesn't take the time to really address this issue when we have a lot of constituents that need help. And so I hope the new administration will reconsider this position for the next time it comes around and really presses forward to make a difference in that scope of services.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and always is my concern when we see Newark opt out of receiving funding with no match to help the citizens of Newark with these issues. I have a serious problem. Freeholder Clark.
Madam President, might I make a suggestion that since you do have a new administration poised to come in the city of Newark, perhaps a letter from the administration and a joint letter from the administration and this board to the new administration, making it kind of clear that these were dollars that were left on the table, so to speak, and that the city of Newark can certainly avail, their dollars that the city of Newark can certainly avail themselves of. I would dare say, with some of the folks who are coming in and some of the relationships that people on the Freeholder Board have with some of the incoming council people, perhaps, that communication will be shared in that way too, so that the council is being communicated with.